news worldwide has been dominated by the coronavirus and will be for some considerable time yet, it would seem. And with every day that passes, more and more, more and more events that come to light and decisions that are being made uh, indicate what I was saying in my interview with Gareth um, as the public videocast last week, where I'm looking at the potential for so many things that this global cult wants to impose being possible to promote as solutions to the problem of coronavirus. And on the basis of who benefits, he who most benefits from a crime is the one most likely to have committed it, the fingers definitely start to point at the question, where did this virus come from? And I don't think it's natural. I think it was introduced for the reason, and all the hype that's going on around the world, for the reason of justifying lots of things that would not otherwise uh, be able to be sold. And because of humanity's, not in everyone, but certainly enough to, you could call it innate fear of death and the unknown, for panic to start to be triggered. And not only that, for the survival mechanism to kick in to the point where, far from questioning the draconian potential and what is being talked about, in many cases, what is being done, of state imposition, people in a fear of not surviving, fear of the unknown, fear of death, will just let anything happen. Indeed, demand it happens to protect them from what they fear. And in so many ways, it really doesn't matter. It matters to the people who get it, of course. It doesn't matter, though, from this problem reaction solution perspective, how dangerous the virus is. What matters is how you can get the population in large numbers to believe how dangerous it is, because you get the same reaction either way, because of what I've just described. And so you'll get the support to impose things that you wouldn't normally be able to do in the West, and get away with it without enormous pushback. And the other thing that I talked about with Gaz in the public video cast last week, well, there's a number of things. Actually, you can see it on davidicke.com if you've not seen it, is the fact that the punchline of this, or one of the punchlines, is when they come up with the vaccine. Problem, oh, coronavirus. Reaction, panic, save me. Solution, vaccine. So then the question comes, what's in the vaccine? And of course, because of the way everything's compartmentalized, very few people have to know exactly what's in the vaccine, or what its effect is, for a global vaccination program to unfold, where 99% of people involved have no idea what's in the vaccine and what its effect potentially could be. And it was kind of synchronistic, to say the least, that I did the interview with Gareth last Friday, and it was put on the site. And then very, very quickly afterwards, within an hour, 2 hours, this story broke. Israeli scientists say they will have coronavirus vaccine in a few weeks, which, of course, I was shocked to the core. I couldn't believe it, that Israeli scientists would have a vaccine in train for coronavirus, or this strain of it anyway. And there are other points around the world where they're also saying that they are working on a vaccine. As I said in that interview, I would be staggered, shivered to me timbers, if that vaccine wasn't already in place before this coronavirus outbreak, and that it's being held back for long enough to let the virus terrify as many people as possible. So when the vaccine is introduced, bingo, people will not only be demanding it for themselves, they'll say everyone must be vaccinated to save us all. And, you know, when you look at the synchronicity, not really synchronicity, of this Israeli vaccine, it comes out of an organization called the Galilee Research Institute. It was announced by government people. And they're saying that this is a week ago, it could be available for humans within 90 days. But where did it come from? And how? Why so fast? And what they say in this story is that they were testing some technology relating to viruses, etc. And they chose to use coronavirus as the one to test and prove the efficiency of the technology. And then, amazing coincidence, the coronavirus, which they say they were using to test their technology, or prove their technology, broke out. And I'm just trying to find this one line. Yes, here it is. This is a spokesman for this group, biotechnology group leader, Dr. Chen Katz, and he said that they had chosen coronavirus as a model for our system, just as a proof of concept for our technology. And then there was an outbreak of that very coronavirus, and what Katz says is, let's call it pure luck. Well, let's call it not, if we've got half a brain cell on active duty. And when you then look around at what is happening and what is being suggested, you see that what I talked about with Gaz is happening. This is from Britain this week, and the Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who made a statement about the battle plan for coronavirus. Britons could be forced to put their lives on hold for 3 months on the coronavirus battle plan that would see troops on the streets, police ignoring minor crime, and patients turfed out of hospitals amid warning that 1 in 5 workers could go sick. Don't frighten the crap out of people or anything. And, you know, in Britain, the British National Health Service, as it's called, the NHS, is actually on its arse in terms of being able to cope with demand. And this would really just take it on to another level with this coronavirus situation, if it goes on as they say they believe it will. So we we have this story. I'll just read you a few paragraphs from it so you get the gist. Britons could be forced to put their lives on hold for 3 months under this battle plan. Boris Johnson set out the government's blueprint to deal with a mass outbreak of the bug that includes a raft of socially and economically costly contingency moves as a last resort. Sporting events could be axed. They're already being so in parts of the world, like Italy. And social distancing strategy would see people encouraged to work from home to avoid unnecessary travel, while an army of NHS volunteers could be recruited to help ease the burden on the health service. As the number of confirmed UK cases, time of this report was published, past 50, it revealed police could ignore low-level crime and troops could be deployed on the streets if officers are incapacitated through illness. And people might, say, "Oh, well, what else can they do?" Well, that's open to debate. Okay. The point is, they have the opportunity to do it because of the virus, because of the outbreak. And therefore, who benefits from the outbreak? No one, except those who wish to use it to impose a draconian, tyrannical, top-down imposition on the population. And of course, big pharma and whoever comes up with the vaccine. And I've also talked about this event 201, which was 6 weeks before the outbreak became public in China. And this was a simulation by the infamous 1% Fest called the World Economic Forum, along with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Just, if you want to know the different elements of the global agenda for humanity, then just look at the funding list of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, because you will find them all, basically, or most of them. And it's that organization led by Bill Gates who that is obsessed with vaccinating everybody worldwide for everything. He is in my view, Bill Gates is a very sinister piece of work. Anyway, this simulation played out 6 weeks before the outbreak. And the simulation was based on how the world would react to a coronavirus. Again, another amazing coincidence. And one of the things they talked about, you can see the clips from it on the internet, was how they had to control the information that people received about the virus, and how anti-vaxxers and such like, and people who were questioning the official story had basically to be silenced. And here we are, weeks later, with that actually happening. Just a coincidence, nothing to worry about. So we have this headline from, actually, as I speak, only yesterday. Mark Zuckerberg says Facebook will give the World Health Organization, a totally corrupt operation, by the way, will give the World Health Organization free advertisements and, quote, remove false claims and conspiracy theories in ongoing battle against coronavirus misinformation. I mentioned about Gates, in my view, being a very sinister piece of work. Well, so Zuckerberg. Oh, hey, man, got my T-shirt just like you. Very sinister man. But not either of them as sinister as those in the background with the real power. So Facebook has revealed more measures to help its users quickly access accurate information regarding the coronavirus outbreak. Okay. Who decides what's accurate? Well, anyone from officialdom, the World Health Organization. Yeah, that's headed by a guy called Tedros, who has been exposed when he was health minister of Ethiopia in covering up cholera outbreaks, who wanted Robert Mugabe, this mass killer from Zimbabwe, to be a World Health Organization um, representative for public health, which was so ridiculous that he had to reverse his decision pretty damn quick. But this is the mentality you're dealing with running the World Health Organization, which was created by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds to control information and policy about, on a global level, about health. Totally, totally corrupt organization. And like the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, nothing to do with what the subject it's supposed to be talking about, but actually is totally political. In fact, cult political, beyond even party political. So the social network is providing the World Health Organization, WHO, with as many free ads as it needs. It is also removing false claims and conspiracy theories that have been flagged by leading global health organizations as it seeks to ensure users are not misinformed about the virus and its risks. And in that paragraph, you have the encapsulation of what I'm saying. False claims and conspiracy theories flagged up by leading global health organizations. In other words, flagged up by the purveyors of the official narrative. And anything you say that's at odds with the official narrative is by definition a false claim or conspiracy theory, as it seeks to ensure users are not misinformed about the virus and its risks, are not given any other possible explanation than the official one. And all this was discussed, caught on tape, in this Gates World Economic Forum simulation 6 weeks before it broke out. Users who search for coronavirus on Facebook will see a pop-up at the top of search results directing them to the World Health Organization or local health authority for the latest information. In the case of UK users, to the National Health Service website. It's a total scam. And if you are interested in truth, if you are in any way respectful of individual freedom, what you do is you provide a forum for all information and all views and opinion to be put forward. And then you say to people, respecting their individual freedom, you decide what you think is happening. But that's the last thing the cult wants to tell people what's happening, even though it's not true. And your Zuckerbergs and such like, your Gateses, they're not interested in the freedom of people. They want to destroy freedom. They're only gophers, rich as they are. They're still gophers to the real power. But they have no respect at all for human freedom. The idea that the only truth is official truth is an insult to the intelligence. So this thing moves on. And, I know we've had the Ebola scare and the SARS scare. This is different. They're taking this up. They're ratcheting this one up to another level. Italy's coronavirus death toll hits 107. This is the time of publication. This was the 5th of March, so it's today. Um, as all schools and universities and sporting venues are locked down and authorities plan a ban on kissing. So what you're looking at is um, a problem which allows the solutions to go into the very fine detail of people's lives. And like I said in the public video cast last week, a pandemic ticks every single box of a wish list for imposing tyranny. New York. In case of deadly coronavirus outbreak, New York plans to use prison labor to dig mass graves. 24 new cases of COVID-19, which they're calling this coronavirus, were detected in the United States over the weekend, bringing the total of 42, with 47 more U.S. nationals infected either in China or aboard a cruise ship. And a report by New York Magazine, based upon information from the Center for Disease Control, CDC, wouldn't trust them either, and on past experience, by the way, of researching them. And they're owned by the Big Pharma cartel, just like the World Health Organization, and Big Pharma is owned by the cult. And a 2008 New York City pandemic response plan shows the Big Apple would be overwhelmed in the case of a Spanish flu-like epidemic. Last week, Mayor de Blasio, when he can summon the brain power to remember to breathe, announced he had set aside an extra 1,200 hospital beds in case of need, blah, 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 blah. And they plan, like the headline says, to use prison labor to dig mass graves. And what all this is doing is, of course, up in the ante of terrifying the population. And, we don't know where this coronavirus is going to go. I expect it's going to go for some length yet, to say the least, because I think it's planned. But when you look at the numbers who died, even the numbers who've been infected, they are tiny compared at the moment, preempting where it might go, but they're tiny compared with other ways that people become ill and die. So this is being massively, massively hyped. Now, they hyped Ebola. We're all going to die. They hyped SARS. They hype all these things. This one's different. They're taking this to another level. And that, for me, after 30 years of tracking these people and how they work, is a big red flag for the fact that this is all organized. And in China, Chinese police are now wearing smart helmets. They have to be smart. Everything's smart. Equipped with AI-powered infrared cameras to detect pedestrians with fevers as they patrol the streets amid coronavirus crisis. The device can scan people 16 feet away and alert officers for fever suspects. It can also display pedestrians' personal information on a virtual screen inside. Police in Chinese cities, including the two mentioned, now use the helmets. The developer says it produced the gadget especially for fighting the virus. Well, you worked pretty damn bloody quick, didn't you, mate? Just like the vaccine developers in Israel. So the potential is there, and this is a story I read this week. See, what this cabal wants, basically it wants to destroy travel, for reasons I talked about in the books. and it wants to lock down a uh, police military, not just police state, and all these things, everything, virtually everything they want, they can seek to justify through a pandemic. And here's a headline by a couple of, I mean, they're academics in Arizona. They're teaching kids. Airplanes spread diseases quickly. So maybe unvaccinated people shouldn't be allowed to fly. Here you go. So this is part of the demonization of anti-vaxxers. So diseases, airplanes spread diseases quickly. Well, but how come we've been flying since flying began? Okay. Yeah, people in any close proximity, people on trains. I mean, on trains, especially in the rush hour around the world, people are pressed against each other, breathing in each other's faces. So, oh, well, that's true. Well, we better stop unvaccinated people going on trains then. But somehow we've survived. And here we have, again, coronavirus being the trigger. This suggestion. As coronavirus spreads, the nation's leading health official, God help us, told a Senate committee we cannot seal off the United States to a virus. And so we have these two academics from Arizona who are now saying that I'll just read you this bit. Clear legal authority exists to link a vaccination mandate to air travel. After 9/11, the courts, which they'll believe was carried out by 19 Arab hijackers that couldn't fly one-engine planes. After 9/11, the courts emphasized that airlines are duty-bound to protect their passengers and those on the ground from risks. The CDC or Surgeon General could exercise authority to make and enforce such regulations to prevent the spread of communicable diseases. Under the US Constitution, the federal government indisputably has the power to act when regulating, quote, channels of interstate commerce. That includes the airlines. What about the rights of individuals who refuse to vaccinate? Courts have long upheld vaccination mandates for schools, where close and prolonged contact is inevitable, even though there is a right to travel and there are laws protecting religious practices from government encroachment. Our courts have explicitly declared vaccination is a government interest. They've upheld vaccine mandates for more than a century. Well, vaccine mandates, the imposition of vaccines, because that's what the cult wants. These basic legal principles, along with the facts that they claim are facts, suggest that airlines and airports are key to stopping the spread of disease. Public health intervention should obviously focus on them. After all, it's where the impact is likely to be greatest. Well, what about train stations? Like I say, buses. These people are teaching children. It is terrifying. And then there's another aspect, again, talked about in the video last week. Deaths from this virus are more likely among the elderly. And anyone who's read my books will know that there is an agenda for ridding the world of the elderly, or as Kissinger called it, useless eaters. The death rate of people infected with coronavirus is significantly ramped up among people over the age of 80, officials said. And the chief medical officer for England, Professor Chris Whitty, said that overall around 1% who became infected might end up dying. The government's new battle plan for tackling the virus states that the elderly and people with pre-existing illnesses would be at the highest risk. Um, and he's saying 80% of the population, worst case scenario, could be infected. And what is also indicated in a number of places is that the elderly would not take priority in treatment if the system became overloaded. So everywhere you look, you see this. Another thing I find interesting is that uh, we have this attack on and this a campaign against the regime in Iran. And I'm no supporter of the regime in Iran. I think it's horrible. But there are others around the world just as horrible that are actually on the other side, um, attacking Iran. But in the early period of its expansion, so many people in the Iranian government, not the Iranian nation, they are affected as well, of course, but the Iranian government have actually been infected with this coronavirus, gone down with it. Is that a coincidence? Maybe it is, or maybe it isn't. And then there's this one. Banknotes may be spreading coronavirus, World Health Organization warns. So it's advising people not to use cash, which, as I've been writing in the book since the 1990s, the plan is for a cashless digital one world currency and the end of cash for all the reasons of control that I explain. And here's the virus now being used to demonize cash. Oh no, don't give me any money, it might kill me. The World Health Organization has advised people to use contactless technology instead of cash, as banknotes may be spreading coronavirus. To stop the spread of the disease, people should use contactless payments where possible and wash their hands after handling cash. In other words, be terrified of it. Because in the end, as I keep saying, this is a psychological war on humanity. It's about controlling perception, which controls behavior. And everywhere you look, this coronavirus, like I say, ticks all the boxes. And of course, we have, again, the survival mechanism again, you see. And the survival mechanism is overwhelmingly triggered on one level by the reptilian brain, back of the brain, so-called R complex, as it's also called, which is the survival mechanism, which is constantly scanning the environment, looking for dangers to survival, not just physical survival, although that's the case here, but survival of relationships, survival of your job. To a large extent, this background anxiety that so many people feel is coming from the reptilian brain as it scans the environment looking for potential threats to survival of multiple kinds, threats to relationships, everything. And in this case, of course, it's about literally physical survival, physical as we perceive it. And so you have the response, which is do whatever you need to do, even take all my freedoms away to save me. That's coming from this survival response. And so is panic buying. I've got to panic buy because I've got to survive. And of course, if you panic buy, then you hoard the stuff and make sure that other people can't have it. Panic buying Brits strip supermarket shelves of pasta, couscous, and water. Shops are left bare of larder essentials, as well as toilet roll, Barocca, and disinfectant. Don't know what Barocca is. I'm not domesticated. I try to be because I live alone. I have to be, but Barocca, what's that? I don't know. I'll probably find out. I kept reading the article. And disinfectant as coronavirus preppers brace for meltdown. You know, I have also noticed, that there is this movement. They call them preppers, where they're preparing for disaster and all that stuff. And okay, whatever turns you on, really. But I do look at some of these preppers, and they're almost, not all of them, no, but some of them are almost loving this corona outbreak. Of course, they want the drama. And oh, we got to prep, we got to. They almost, it's almost, they're loving it. I find it very strange. Well, I'm not bloody panic buying, that's for sure. Um, so shortages previously limited to antibacterial hand gel and hand soap have spread to cupboard items such as rice, pasta, couscous, pot noodles. Oh, I must get some pot noodles. That's good for your bloody health, isn't it? Bottled water, toilet roll, pet food, as well as chilled items including milk, butter, and yogurt. Pharmacy shelves are emptying of pharmaceutical paracetamol, ibuprofen, and immune system boosting tablets such as Barocco, found out now, as people prepare to fight off the flu-like illness that has claimed hundreds of lives worldwide. It's claimed hundreds of lives worldwide in a planet approaching 8 billion people. Um, so just looking at pictures of empty shelves here. So, I mean, it's a psychological game, and what you have is this cult that is expert in understanding human psychology, and vast numbers of people who fall for the perceptual manipulation that the cult imposes on them every day. So there we are with coronavirus up to this point this week, and we'll see where it goes from here. But it's got some time to run yet, that's for sure.